Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. It is post-match reaction show time after Liverpool have finally remembered how to score some goals, but unfortunately got back into the rather irritating habit of letting a load in at the other end as well. And the end result is that we have been knocked out of the FA Cup by Manchester United by 3-2 in what I think we can all agree was at least an entertaining football match. You know, there's one criticism that Liverpool and Man U fans can agree on is that over the past few years, the games between the two teams have been dire a lot of the time, and that's because I think both teams are much more afraid of losing the game than they are looking to actually get all 3 points out. I think most set players in that situation are just happy to both take a point, not have to worry about losing the match against your big rivals, and then you go again next week against someone else. But of course, in these circumstances, there was only ever going to be one winner. There simply couldn't be a draw, and therefore both teams played with a little bit more freedom, and therefore the circumstances definitely suited Liverpool. You know, after a few weeks where it's been very cagey, very stodgy, the players have looked nervous. They haven't looked like they're enjoying their football. They've looked unsure of their own ability, timid when they get into threatening situations, and that kind of dissipated today, which was a very, very positive sign. I think I'm trying to put a more positive spin on the game because I'm thinking about more what it means for our season in the Premier League and in the European Cup as well between now and the end of the campaign, rather than getting too bogged down in the fact that we just lost at Old Trafford and we're out of the FA Cup. Because, of course, if any of you watched the pre-match video for the game, I was actually quite hoping for a cup run. I think under the circumstances, it may have represented our best opportunity at some silverware this season. But the fact of the matter is, we got no chance of that now, and we've basically just got to make a positive out of that and acknowledge that, you know, a cup run under the current strain of fixtures with the injury problems that we've already had and may continue to have throughout the rest of the season may have not suited us from a Premier League campaign standpoint. So obviously I'm annoyed at losing to Manchester United. I'm annoyed at some of the goals as well. I think I don't want to criticise the kid too much, but Reece Williams was a bit dire today. I think it's safe to say Man United got a lot of joy out of him. Marcus Rashford was threatening to send him back to Kidderminster Harriers at various points in the game with the way he'd just leave him behind like he was nothing. I thought he flew into tackles to try and make up for poor touches or misreading of the game. His positioning was poor. He was often getting caught out. Like I said, getting diddled by Marcus Rashford multiple times to the point where people like Trent Alexander-Arnold had to actually step in and help him out and win the ball back because he was utterly hopeless at times. And if there's one positive we can also take from that, it's that maybe this is enough of a sign now that the club really, really need a centre-half, because it's not like, you know, we've got a load of them coming back. Of course, Joel Matip will hopefully, fingers crossed, return for the game against Tottenham in midweek, but you can never rely on his fitness. And to be honest, having Fabinho at centre-half isn't really ideal, because we saw a couple of times today when he stepped a little bit further up in the pitch and got involved in the midfield area of things, we actually looked pretty good. So you want him back in that area sooner rather than later as well. So hopefully what happens after this game is that the owners do realise Jurgen maybe laid a bit of a gauntlet down in his press conference yesterday as well. Of course, after the embargo was broken at 10:30, all the stuff about how he said that he wanted a centre-half and was simply told that the money wasn't there came out. Whether that's, you know, he's been given that as a party line to try and calm fans down and say, look, these are the facts, or whether he's saying that himself because he's using it as a bit of a bargaining chip with the owners to show that he will not just accept that he can't have a centre-half, because like I said on today's evidence, Reece Williams not good enough, quite simply. And it's a shame to criticise him, because I said some positive things about him when he first came in, like with the cup game against Lincoln. When we first saw a little bit of him, I thought he did play well. And listen, he would have been fine if we were playing a non-league side today. I think he may have got caught out like he did against Louis Barry against Aston Villa, but it probably wouldn't have cost us the game. But today he makes far too many errors. In the first half, the signs were there already. I'm surprised it didn't really get picked up on. Obviously, he gets away with it in the first half, but then of course that second goal that Man U score from Marcus Rashford simply should not be happening. You know, the ball it's an easy one for him to control. It's not even an issue of his pace, which we all know is a little bit of a problem. He's not as nippy as some of the other centre-halves we've got. It is simply just a quality thing. You know, he makes a very basic error on the big stage. And listen, Trent's done the same at Old Trafford. He's made errors that have led to Manchester United winning games. But with Reece Williams, it feels more symptomatic of a problem that might not go away. And listen, maybe in the future, give him a couple years, bit more experience, he might be good enough to be a rotation option at centre-half for Liverpool. He might get a bit more pace as he grows into his body a bit more. You know, he can deal with the pressure of games like today that he crumbled under the lights a little bit, I think, in tonight's match. But at the moment, no. At the moment, Reece Williams is quite simply not good enough. And that is kind of what cost Liverpool the game. Because like I said, I thought we played well. We played with freedom. We threatened. Once it gets back to 2-2 as well, we look like the team that were going to go on and win the game. And what was really good was the fact that when we were getting the ball forward, it wasn't what we've seen over the last few weeks where it's stodgy, it's predictable, it's repeating the same patterns, always playing the safe pass. We looked dangerous. We looked like Man United were really pegged back and hemmed in and struggling to actually deal with what Liverpool were throwing at them. And that was happening all the way through the game. And like I said, I think that was because it's a cup game and we were given a little bit more freedom and a bit more license for the players to express themselves. I think it showed in Jurgen Klopp's pre-match interview as well. He was very smiley, laughing, quite chatty. He wasn't the prickly Jurgen that we have seen a little bit over the last few weeks. And I felt like that definitely translated to the players. He clearly told them to go out and have a little bit more fun, because the fact of the matter is they don't look like they're enjoying their football at the moment, aside from today's game. They haven't looked confident within themselves. And today was a totally different story. So, like I said, there are definitely positives to take from this game. And it's just frustrating that at the crucial points in the game, things didn't go Liverpool's way. You know, the goal that they scored to equalise and make it 1-1 is just a poor moment from James Milner. Gets completely caught out by the ball over the top. I thought, even though I liked some of the stuff he was doing today, crunching into challenges, trying to create that derby atmosphere that can be lacking in these games behind closed doors, and to be honest has been lacking from Liverpool Man United for a while. We haven't seen enough crunching challenges in this fixture in recent years, but definitely today a lot of players were going in. You know, I really like Thiago's performance as well. I was watching him and thinking, you know, if I was a Man U fan, I'd absolutely hate him. He reminds me a little bit of Ander Herrera for them, who and I'm sure a lot of you could not stand while he played for Man United, because he was a little bit snide, a little bit bitty, always went in pretty, you know, heftily on challenges and 50-50s, was very clever in terms of making tactical fouls and stuff like that. And Thiago was doing that today. The kind of stuff that he hasn't really been heralded for. Obviously, we all know about his brilliant passing ability. We know he's one of the best midfielders in the world with the ball at his feet. But it's really been downplayed how good he is defensively, both in terms of, you know, getting around positionally, closing down spaces, tackling, and then also pressing to win the ball back and create counter-attacking situations. He is pretty much the complete midfielder that Liverpool were after, and I think that's a very positive sign, because if there was one thing that maybe did stand out about his signing, he didn't really feel like a Jurgen Klopp midfielder. You know, he's not a Jordan Henderson or a Gini Wijnaldum. It was a little bit left field in that respect, but he has slotted in very nicely. And of course, the fact that he had the injury and it's taken him he's only just started playing a solid run of games. It's no surprise that he's getting better every single match, and I think today was one of his better games in a Liverpool shirt. It's just a shame, like I said, that things didn't work out. Of course, like I said, the first goal, Milner makes the error. The second goal is a Reece Williams error. The third goal, listen, you can debate all you want about whether or not it's a free kick. Personally, it actually looked a little bit like it to me. Fabinho clatters Cavani a little bit, although the way he goes down is slightly theatrical. But listen, Liverpool have been on the receiving end of so many dodgy decisions. I don't even really know what a dodgy decision is anymore. And it's a class free kick from Bruno Fernandes, to be fair. You know, a player that good will do those kind of things to you occasionally. And like I said, it's just a shame that as well as Liverpool played, they didn't quite get the rub of the green at key moments, and Manchester United did. But crucially, it happened in the Cup. It happened in a game that, as much as we all probably wanted to progress to the fifth round and have a go at this piece of silverware this season, because it's not something Liverpool have really made a serious fist of since Jurgen Klopp arrived, the most important thing remains the Premier League. The European Cup is obviously very important as well, both in terms of revenue and in terms of trying to get some silverware there. And at the end of the day, probably the most important thing is the top four race, and Liverpool do not want to be getting dragged into that. And the last thing we really need is to be fighting on three fronts, playing 3 games a week and scrabbling to try and stay in the top four, because, you know, that's not what Liverpool want to be doing come the end of the season. And who knows, maybe this allows us to refresh our focus a little bit. Maybe we come come out of this game a bit more tightly focused on the Premier League. Maybe we get back into the title race as well. Of course, Manchester United now will have to play more games in the FA Cup. That may lead to Premier League fixture reschedulings. They've got Europa League games coming up, so that may start to bite a little bit. And I think Liverpool showed today that they are potentially getting back to, not their best, but something resembling the Liverpool team that we know and love. Like I said, it wasn't jittery like the last few games. The players didn't look as short on confidence. They were playing free-flowing football again. And as I said, we look like the team that were going to go out and win the game. So if you're going to not get the rub of the green, why not have it in a cup match that maybe doesn't mean so much as a league game? And hopefully Liverpool go out for that game against Spurs on Thursday night and take this form into it, take the goal scoring form as well. I thought once Salah scored, it felt like a weight had been lifted. Maybe it's psychologically as fans, you know, we just suddenly feel a lot more optimistic every time Liverpool get into threatening areas. But the players were much quicker, much sharper. They were going for shots. They were trying to cause Manchester United problems. They weren't trying to, you know, create the perfect chance or anything like that. It was just about doing what Liverpool do best, which is being a complete battering ram that eventually forces its way past the opposition. And it did twice, but unfortunately, Man U got 3 goals at the other end. So it's a loss. We're out the cup. Let me know how you feel about that down in the comments below. Let me know how you're feeling about our form in general as well, whether you're a bit more optimistic and a bit more buoyant after we finally put the ball in the back of the net a few times. Apart from that, that is all for today's video. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, as always, you know what to do. Hit the like button down there. Hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter. And I'll be back soon with the pre-match content for the game against Tottenham Hotspur. Until then, bye for now.